Hello and welcome to an episode of Historically Marked. I am Jason in downtown Memphis, Tennessee, and I am on South Main Street in front of the mall area where it's all pedestrian and you can do shopping, drinking, or whatever you want to do, go to restaurants, eat. There's a trolley that rolls through here, but this is where Elvis Presley had his first job. The place does not exist, and that is the trolley. The place does not exist, and nor there is a marker, but I do feel it's definitely a story worth sharing about Elvis's first paid job. Yeah, it was at Loew State Theater, and I'm about to find out where it was using my trusty Google Maps and then tell you the story. Here we go. All right, so no vehicles allowed unless you're driving a trolley. Too bad I'm not hungry, but Lenny's Grill and Subs looks really good. So yes, this takes you right into the heart. I better get off the trolley track because I see a trolley coming. But this looks like a really nice laid-back area. Not sure how it is during the day or at night, but I'm here around supper time, like 6 o'clock-ish. But let me see where my GPS will point me to. I am looking for 152 South Main. Okay, so the place where... Okay, so believe it or not, I actually walked past it. It's right when it's somewhere in this zone right here, in this building. Now, according to my notes, the building was demolished several years ago, but it looks pretty old. I mean, then again, what do I know? Or it could have been there, but I was looking for 152 South Main, and that's 153, the Lenny's Grill and Subs place, and that's 147, so I guess I'm in the right place, right? So how am I going to make this long story short? I don't know, but let's just say Elvis always loved the movies. From the time he was a kid, to the time he was a teenager, to the time when he was acting in them. So Elvis decided to get a job, and he landed a job as an usher at Loew State Theater. But this position was not long-lived. But there is an irony to this story, and I hope you stay with me on this one. So Elvis worked at the theater on 2 separate occasions during the fall of 1950. He was a sophomore in high school, and because he arrived home late on school nights, Gladys, his mother, said no to him working. He was like, well, can I work during off-school season? She said yes. His grades were clearly slipping, and you know, that's how we are as teenagers. Sometimes we have to manage our jobs and whatnot, especially as college students. But anyway, when school was let out the following summer, Elvis was rehired as an usher here. And not surprisingly, Elvis really thought this place was as very luxurious because, I mean, it was different world to him for someone who was living in the housing projects at the time. It was also one of the first air-conditioned places in Memphis, and that was back in 1930s. But this building was actually built in 1920. So Elvis, I believe, I mean, I think he either got a discount or he was able to watch movies for free, but because he didn't really watch movies at home because they didn't have a television set, he would watch the same movies over and over, and he would actually study the actors and actresses' movements because he wanted to know how he could get girls. And of course that was no troubling for him later in life, but as a shy teenager just looking for answers, I mean, he found it watching the movies like Marlon Brando, Clark Gable, and a bunch of other heartthrobs who graced the screen during that time. And it's a legend that the reason Elvis dyed his hair was because he idolized these movie stars who would do the same thing. Kind of like Tony Curtis, who had black hair. So here is the part where it gets all hairy and where it gets all weird, which leads to him getting fired. So later that summer, during 1950, Elvis became fond of a female co-worker. But at the same time, another usher was smitten with her as well, because when he learned the girl had given Elvis a candy bar from the concession stand, he told the theater manager that Elvis had stolen the candy. The theater's manager's name was Arthur Groom. Elvis replied with his fists. Tough guy, are we? So Groom solved the dispute by firing them both. Groom was probably the only person to ever fire Elvis Presley. All right, so fast forward several years later, and when Elvis was already a star, his third movie, Jailhouse Rock, was looking for a place to premiere, and Elvis gave the permission and the blessing to have it shown here at this spot at Loew's Theater. And his manager, Arthur Groom, was still the boss at the time, and he actually had a good sense of humor about this incredible change in fortune. And 3 weeks before the premiere, he posed with Elvis in an usher's uniform. And not surprisingly, Mr. Groom was like, well, if you want your old job back, position is open, jokingly. But he did not attend any of his movie premieres, not even Jailhouse Rock, because his female co-star by the name of Judy Tyler had been killed in a car crash in Wyoming shortly after the movie was finished, and he was so heartbroken, I don't think he ever even watched the movie in detail. I mean, it's one of his classics, no doubt. But as far as the theater, according to my research, it was demolished, and we got this nice looking building. But I do have something else to show you. Come with me. All right, so that, of course, is where Lenny's, and that's where I believe the theater was, because the candy place has been there since 1902, so there's a little bit of clues there. But that's the Majestic Grill, playing that big band music. But to the side of the building are a bunch of movie posters, and there's really no indicator as to maybe at one time this was a theater building. But the first movie poster we're greeted with is King Creole. That's another one of Elvis's classics, when he's down in New Orleans, and Walter Matthau's in the movie, as well as that gal from the Addams Family, Casablanca, High Society, and there's more. Here's some more movies. Roll Without a Cause, yeah, it's definitely a classic right there. Metropolis. And who can forget Gone with the Wind? That's another one as well. All right, thanks so much for tuning into this episode of Historically Marked. I am just in front of the ghost remains of the place where Elvis Presley once worked for the first time. All right, I'm Jason, signing off.